Hello guys, I have some bad news for our Go community here. Nie Weiping, one of the most influential Go players in the world, passed away a couple days ago at the age of 64. Many of you may have heard of the news, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about what makes this guy very, very important and some of his contributions to the world of Go. I call him the most important Go player to have ever played the game, for his contributions to the game and his work to spread and train other Go players. Nie Weiping was the modern China's first world-class Go player. In the 1970s, 80s, and 90s, Nie Weiping vied for the best player in the world, and by being one of the best players outside of Japan, he and his fellows saw the end of Japanese dominance in the world of Go, again happening in the 1980s. In the 1990s, Nie Weiping, he formed the Nie Weiping Go Academy, which was the strongest or the best Go school in China by far, and basically all the strong, most promising Go players, youngsters, would go to his school and train and hone their skills. As a result, dozens of world champions, hundreds of professionals, and thousands of strong amateurs all trained in his school. And in the last couple of years, in the 2020s, the school oversaw a transition to focus more on mass outreach to the beginner players versus their traditional championships training. I guess when you have so many champions, there's no need to train a few more, I guess. Once I saw how many kids and Go players there are in China, I get it, and this is not something that you can find in any other country in the world, and this is the spread of Go in modern China to the mass population was probably the most successful or the only successful example of a campaign to spread Go that I know of. For example, in Korea, for example, Go is you hear a lot of complaints about how Go is losing popularity in the recent years with less young people, that kind of thing. Okay, so his rise to prominence. So Nie Weiping, the height of his career was the 1970s and 80s, when he actively vied to as one of the top players in the world. In the 1980s, they didn't have the modern day like world championships yet. But so after Nie Weiping established himself as a national champion, winning a lot of tournaments in China, in the 1980s they held these China-Japan Super Go tournaments, starting in 1985. These are 6, 7, 8, 9 players on both sides, and the winner would stay on, and so it's kind of like a knockout country versus country knockout match. And so here is where he gained a lot of fame by beating the top Japanese players. This Super Go tournament would later become the Nongxin Cup 3-country Super Go tournament between China, Korea, and Japan. That still goes on in modern day. Anyways, back in 1985, to everyone's surprise, China won the first 3 of these Super Go championships tournaments, basically with Nie acting as a final player, and every time Japan would beat all the other Chinese players, and then they would fall when they reached him. Now, this was mid 1980s, so Japan was still clearly the strongest Go playing country in the world. These teams, the first couple of matches, they didn't send all of their strongest players. But they did send amongst their strongest players. So each time they would send at least two of the like Kobayashi, Kato Masao, Fujisawa, Takemiya, like their best players. Nie was beating them, and this really ignited Go popularity in China. They call this Go fever, where everyone's like, yes, I'm interested, let me learn the game. Having a long history in the game also helped with that, and this was truly a mass outreach. Now, in 1988, with the success of these international competitions, in 1998 the first Yin Cup was formed, and to this day it still continues, and it's still the highest prize money tournament in the world. So Nie Weiping famously played in the finals against Cho Hyun, another very famous Korean player who is now a Korean senator in government, also a national hero. So the two national heroes, non-Japanese players, met in the Yin Cup finals in the first one, and it was 2-3. Nie was actually favored at the time, but Cho would win the first Yin Cup, and that ignited Go fever in Korea and everything. But in China, the work was already done, and a lot of people started learning the game, and children started learning from a young age as well. This may have been Nie's biggest career regret, or his last thing that he didn't get, but at this time he was already kind of old. He's nearing his 40s, and in the 1990s, Nie would turn his fame that he gained from his national hero status in the mid-1980s and really do a lot of great work with that. And so it is because of the work that he does with the fame that he gets that really makes him one of the most important Go players in history. And so largely that is informing the Nie Weiping Go Academy in the 1990s. This was the best Go school in China. It had a dojo-like training style where the young children would spend a lot of time in the game, training at the game each day. It was in Beijing, and for a very long time, as long as they focused on training, it was the premier Go dojo in China, and all the strongest players from China usually had some kind of training at this exact Go dojo. Names you will recognize like Gu Li, Ke Jie, Chang Hao, like very, very famous championship playing players, and some of the current strongest players in the world, like Ding Hao, like Dang Yifei. These players just won world championships in the last year or two. Su Yue and a bunch of others. They all went to this Go Academy, so Nie Weiping, he may not have taught all of these players personally, but whatever he was doing, he or his team was doing was really, really good. So personally, I was a Chinese two-dan amateur at the time, and if I was a little bit stronger, I would have considered, my parents and I would have considered, sending me to this. And unfortunately, I was not promising enough, and it took many, many more years to play the game to become, to have had the strength. Anyways, you will see a lot of these players in the North America Go scene as well. Stephanie Ying, for example, is a famous graduate who became a professional player in China, and she now runs the New York Institute of Go in New York. And she is passing on a lot of this training regimen to children in the U.S. Another famous player is Pei Xuan Wang, also a AGA very highly rated, and there's just very many Go players who have had this kind of training. And the most popular Go training format that they had, as far as I know, not having been there myself, was half a day, so the day would be split, and half of a day they would learn regular school subjects, like the usual stuff, math, language arts and stuff, and half of the day they would do Go training, which is life and death problems and things like that. And so many of the top players in the U.S. that you guys, U.S. and Canada, that you guys run into may have had training here, and it's just very numerous. Anyways, they also worked with Europe. I know they have many extensive cooperative agreements, and Europeans are sending their best players to China to study Go increasingly. Anyways, the biggest reason for their success in the outreach, and that is kind of unique amongst the Chinese Go community, is the notion that Go is beneficial for the young, for the children. And for example, parents might be afraid of teaching their kids Go because they would spend too much time on it and take away from like other studies. But so this is where this notion is very helpful, and it really attracted a lot of parents and kids to study Go. For example, this notion does not, as far as I know, exist in Korea, where Go is seen, where Baduk is seen more as like an old, like the middle-aged old, like smoking men who are betting and gambling on the game. And of course that does not attract as many parents and kids as you would expect. Anyways, so this message is very central to their success, and great for them having been able to send this. And okay, so huge accomplishments there. Lastly, a little bit about Nie Weiping's Go style. He has a book called The Art of Positional Judgment. You can find this book anywhere, and it's one of the few books I have in print at home. I have less than you would guess. I only have 7 or 8 books, and this is one of them. And his influence goes beyond like him teaching players, because he was so famous, and his way of playing is very translatable to other Go players. He with an emphasis on like strong fighting spirit and extensive use of positional judgment and full board play, global intertwined like play, where one group really affects how you deal with other groups across the board. It's really lends itself to teaching, and incidentally, surprisingly or not surprisingly, this is what I base most of my gameplay on as well. I would like to say I largely reached my Go style independently, but who knows, with the various influences, I probably have had a lot more influence from him than I would see. For example, the book I attribute most to for my Go playing personality and Go style is the 36 Stratagems book by Ma Xiaochuan, this other guy. But in that book, many of the game examples are actually from the Super Go tournament in 1985, and I know at least this one game is exactly Nie Weiping's game in the 1985 Super Go tournament, where he played, I think, Kobayashi or Kato Masao. Super famous players. So I, may have had more influence from this guy than I thought, and this is why he is the most important player to have played the game, because it was such a big part about spreading the game to the mass population. Lastly, I have a few clips to play for you, and this has nothing to do with him. This is a children's tournament. This is a children's tournament that I saw when I went to the World Championships in Beihai last April, and after we played our games, they had a kids tournament at the same time. This was 800 kids, all under 12 in this one tournament.
Most of them came from the Guangxi province. There's a Beihai team as well.
Yeah, this was very impressive. They filled up 2 of these halls, and they're all under 12. Let's just say this was a little bit bigger than the Go tournaments that I am used to going to in my in the United States. Let me fix this. Parents. Yeah. So this kind of thing was it's very impressive how much outreach they have in their in the Chinese in the Chinese community. I talked to a few of these Go teachers, and they're not like special Go teachers. They're like, I have 7,000 students. This other guy teaches 20 classes for 12,000 students, or have had. And they're like, this other guy who's not here, he has 20,000 students. And later that day, I went back to my computer on my spreadsheet, and I looked at my 2,000 students that have ever, took lessons with me at all, and I was like, man, we have some work to do in the North America. And before we feel so sad about the passing of Nie Weiping here, just realize that he probably accomplished everything and more, everything that he wanted, and much more. So here's Nie Weiping on the right in the Future of Go Summit with AlphaGo, and apparently, he also had 3 marriages in his life. Clearly, probably did everything he wanted to do in his life. Very, very good, very happy, and hope you guys enjoy the game, and hopefully Go is able to start spreading in the North American communities as much as we can. All right, lastly, enjoy your games, and have fun, and see you guys in the next videos.